Whenever I see the words Annapurna Interactive flash on my screen, I know I'm in for a good time. It's pretty remarkable that one publishing company has been responsible for so many fantastic games, some of them being my favorite games to have released in the past few years. While there have been a lot of shakeups at the company over the past few months, and we don't really know what that means for future indie games that decide to align themselves with the label, that doesn't detract from the incredible games that they have published and that you can play right now. So today we're just focusing on my personal favorite Annapurna games, and a quick disclosure before we start, I'm mainly listing games originally published by Annapurna and not games that were published by Annapurna for additional porting or whatever. So that would include games like Journey, which was originally published by Sony Entertainment, and Gone Home, which was originally published by the Fulbright Company, and Annapurna basically did all the additional ports for those games. So those don't really count. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at my favorite Annapurna games. Starting off here is Florence, and this is one of the few mobile games that I've ever played and actually enjoyed. Mobile games just don't move the needle for me, but Florence is a game that needs to be played. It's a brief experience that maybe took less than 2 hours to complete, but it's one of the most memorable games I've played in a long time. I was so floored by this game that I actually posted about it on Twitter, which is something that I never do. And there are no revolutionary game mechanics on display here, but what makes the game so incredible is just its use of your phone's touchscreen. Simple actions like brushing Florence's teeth become more tactile because it almost bridges the game world with the world of the player and kind of makes things feel more real. It does a lot to make you feel like you're part of the story. And to talk a little bit about the story, the best way to sum it up is slice of life. There's no complex world building or plot twists. It's just a nice simple story about a woman who's stuck in a rut and finds her first love. It's imaginative, breathtaking, heartbreaking, and easily worth your time. Next up here is Neon White, and man, I love this game. If you like fast games that ooze with style and personality, then Neon White is absolutely for you. Now, Neon White is one of the more recent Annapurna games that I've played, and I'm kind of bummed that I did not play this game sooner, or more specifically, I'm bummed that I couldn't play it when it released, because it really is a ton of fun. It's especially fun for someone like myself who's always trying to get the fastest times on levels and always trying to figure out better, more optimized solutions to completing levels. It scratches an itch that I forgot that I had. Please do yourself a favor and check it out because it is really awesome. And also the soundtrack is awesome too. And the soundtrack's composed by Machine Girl. Never really heard of them up until this game. And I do like their stuff. There's a good texture to it that I just, don't really hear in the stuff that I listen to. So very unique, very cool. Check out Neon White. Next here is Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is an interactive music video, and I absolutely could not put this one down. Now, while it won't be everyone's cup of tea, mainly due to its limited gameplay mechanics, I really enjoyed the simplicity of this game and the overall art direction in particular. In this game, you're mainly just navigating your way through levels while listening to some really awesome music. However, this game is more enjoyable, I think, if you're going for 100% completion, because when you're going for 100% completion, you're then tasked with completing levels with a certain score or completing levels without picking up any collectibles, and this does create a bit of a challenge and adds a little bit more to the core experience. Now, the development team behind this game, Sumogo Interactive, they also worked on Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which I'll actually be doing a separate video on at some point, but they are a very talented development team, and they managed to make two drastically different games that are equally amazing. Please check this out. Next up here is Telling Lies. Now, in his follow-up to Her Story, Sam Barlow and his team create another compelling narrative where you follow the seemingly disconnected story of 4 individuals. The main hook of this game is trying to piece together the narrative that links these 4 individuals together. I would have put Sam Barlow's third game on this list, Immortality, but that was published by Netflix. But I highly recommend both Immortality and Telling Lies. Not sure which one I prefer, it really depends on the day, but I just remember having a blast while playing Telling Lies. Also, my partner and I played this one together, and I highly recommend playing with somebody else because at least for us, it really added a lot to the experience. For example, my partner would take down notes for all of the clips that we would review. She would note down all of the keywords and common phrases that certain characters would express in order to see if there was a way to relate these events and sequences together. It's a game where you're basically just piecing together the game's overall narrative, and it does make you feel like a detective, which is awesome because that's exactly what it's trying to go for. I couldn't recommend this one enough. However, maybe just do a little bit more research before trying this one out just to see if the gameplay is going to be engaging to you. Next here is Cocoon, and this is an amazing puzzle game. The way that I've seen it expressed online and kind of what I agree with is it's like a puzzle game for people that don't necessarily love puzzle games. Cocoon has rich atmosphere and an overall intuitive design that makes solving puzzles almost like you're in some kind of flow state or a trance. It's crazy because I'm not the biggest puzzle game fan, minus, the Professor Layton games, but this game makes puzzle solving feel less daunting and just plain enjoyable. Also, the world, the score, art direction, level design, they're all incredibly well done. I also really loved how this game ended. It answers several questions that I had throughout the experience, but then it also prompted a handful of other questions to be asked as the credits rolled. It's easily one of my favorite games I've played in recent memory, and I can't wait to see what this development team cooks up next, because it really is an incredible game. Next here is the Pathless. The best way I could describe this one is it's giant squid's crack at making a Shadow of the Colossus game with some light puzzle solving and boss fights. I didn't play this game when it first came out. I actually picked this one up at a retro video game swap a couple months back. And I'm bummed I didn't try this one out sooner because I really loved it. I did encounter a few bugs that lessened the overall experience slightly. Like there was one bug where my camera would lock onto a boss and kind of restricted my player character movement and only allowed them to move in one direction. And it ended up causing me to have to restart my game a few times. But even with this bug, it's hard to deny how amazing this game is. From Austin Wintory's score to the arresting visuals, the Pathless has a game world I took pleasure in exploring. It's also incredibly soothing to play and explore, and I find myself booting it up from time to time just so I can immerse myself in this captivating world that Giant Squid created. Please check this one out, it's awesome. Moving on to Solar Ash here, this is Heart Machine's follow-up to the incredible Hyperlight Drifter. Solar Ash wasn't my favorite game when I first played it. Of course, this could have been due to the fact that when the game first came out, I was sick with the flu and I really couldn't play the game for more than 30 minutes at a time, but I found that I got way more enjoyment out of this game on my second and third playthroughs. There's a lot to love about the game. Whether it's the tight gameplay, cool boss fights, overall world and level design, Solar Ash is an absolute blast. I love how this was basically Shadow of the Colossus on crack, and player movement is a big proponent of the game, and it actually ties into the narrative in a way that kind of became clearer as the game goes on. And I also loved how the subsequent playthroughs helped provide additional insight into the core story, and it was something that gradually revealed itself over time in terms of the story, much like Hyperlight Drifter. Solar Ash is another game where the emphasis is on visual and environmental storytelling, not to the degree of Hyperlight Drifter, but still used to great effect. Personally, I think playing the game on the hard difficulty makes things even more enjoyable, as it makes the encounters even more exciting and tense, but I still think I prefer Hyperlight over Solar Ash just because I love the pixel art aesthetic, and Disaster Piece's score just really does something to me. Please check out Solar Ash, it's fantastic. Next up is Stray. Just want to put this out there, I am a dog person, but the idea of playing a game where the central protagonist is a cat had me excited. And man, after playing Stray, I kind of understand now why people love cats so much. Stray is equal parts platformer and adventure game, and Stray puts you in the paws of just a regular cat. And I found that this little detail, just being a regular cat, adds so much to the world because you're basically surrounded by this cyberpunk neon world. And it almost stands out even more because of the fact that you're just a cat. There's something about that juxtaposition that I really liked. The fact that you're a regular cat also makes the game a little bit more lighthearted and whimsical, and kind of softens the darker aspects of the world. It's a game I played a dozen times over, and even when it was no longer free on PlayStation Plus, I ended up buying a physical copy just so I could play the story again. And overall, I love this game. And I've played it a dozen times or so at this point because it's that enjoyable. Coming down to the wire here, this is Outer Wilds. Now, I feel like Outer Wilds is one of those games, every time I'm online, I see people always being like, I wish I could replay Outer Wilds for the first time. My first experience with this game was so memorable, so magical, so different. And I would agree with that. And the same goes for the next game that we'll see in this list. I wish I could play that game for the first time again and kind of experience it for the first time. And even though Outer Wilds has been around for a long time at this point, if you still haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil anything because going in completely blind is the way to play this game. Knowing next to nothing about this game, its central story, its gameplay loop, heightens the experience far above most games. But all I'll say is it's an adventure game where the journey is better than the destination. The various detours and one-off experiences you have while playing this game make it the reason to play it for yourself. It's a game that sucks you into its world, and it's a world built on traveling and exploration. So if you love to explore worlds and get sucked into games, this will probably end up being one of your favorite games. It's really good, check it out. Okay, last one here is What Remains of Edith Finch. Now, if you've been a subscriber of this channel since the early days, this probably doesn't come as much of a surprise to you or a shock that What Remains of Edith Finch is, my favorite Annapurna game. I've gushed about this game on countless videos over the years, and even when I was making this list, I knew immediately that this was going to be my all-time favorite Annapurna game. Not sure what more I can really say about this one. It's inventive, devastating, and just so damn compelling to play. I love that you spend most of your time piecing together the tragic backstories of your families and how each backstory has its own gameplay mechanics, style, music. It's just really special. The most impressive thing to me is that touchy subjects are handled with grace and beauty. Even something like the death of a child is handled in such a poetic way that a less experienced studio would have made moments like these a little bit less palatable, hard to swallow. This really is one of the best games to have come out in a very, very long time. It's a brief experience, but one that will stay with you for years to come. It's a game I find myself coming back to time and time again. Please do yourself a favor, check this out. Easily, this is my favorite Annapurna Interactive game that they've published. Thank you guys for sticking around till the end of the video. Let me know your favorite Annapurna games in the comments below, and I'll see you all on the next video.